How's it going? Welcome to episode 394 of the Hoots Podcast. Recording to you live and in living color. Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2024, and I'm glad to be here and ready to rock and roll and give you another fun show this week. On the podcast this week, we'll be going over what happened at the Day One event for WWE, of course, which includes the return of The Rock. Also, we'll be going over a lot of stuff that went down at AEW's World's End pay-per-view from Nassau Coliseum. Everything in between, all the bells and whistles that you get with the podcast that Hoots each and every single week, anywhere you get your podcast from. Like I said, you can follow me at Twitter if you like, at the Hoots Podcast. You can hit me up on Instagram. Make sure to like this video if you're watching live on YouTube. That helps out a lot. I appreciate it. If you're watching, just hit the like button. And if you're watching us on the live stream, please comment down below and I'll give you all a shout out. And appreciate the support along the way. Anyway, yeah, let me put pause there. But anyways, like I said, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're 4 subscribers away from getting to 500 on YouTube, which is pretty cool. Also, I wanted to mention really quick, it's not lost on me that obviously we're in a new year and reminding myself that I'm turning 30 this year, but we're actually 30,000 downloads away from reaching a million. So it's pretty freaking humbling and pretty fucking cool, to be honest with you. Excuse my language, but it's not lost in the year. I'm turning 30. We're 30,000 downloads and plays away from reaching a million. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for this crazy wave of listenership that we've been getting over the last 3 to 4 months since I got my job back and stuff like that. It's been very rewarding and I'm very appreciative of it, and it's a good reminder of how much the show still resonates with each and every single one of you. So I just want to say, on behalf of me and everybody who contributes to make what this podcast is each and every single week, I just want to say thank you for support. Look, man, this year's gonna be interesting. I don't know what the future holds when it comes to this podcast, but what I do know is that going forward, as we get closer to episode 400, I'm taking no prisoners, and I'm gonna go at this at the best I can. I'm gonna give you authentic conversations that you're not getting anywhere else. We're just going to have fun with it. I'm going to provide some life lessons along the way. But as we go on this journey together, I just wanted to say thank you for continuing to rock with me over these years. And hopefully I can repay you through this experience that is the Hoots Podcast. And we can have fun with each other. We can learn. We can have fun as we get towards WrestleMania 40 and stuff like that. I've been contemplating doing some different videos on YouTube. I wouldn't say that I'm the greatest video editor of the world or anything like that, but I'm exploring possibly doing like some topical videos on different topics. And you kind of see some of these type of videos on YouTube, like the WrestleManias and stuff like that. So I'm considering adding that to the channel if that's something you guys would like to see. But when it comes to this podcast in particular, man, right now, all our goals is to gain to episode 400 and gain to a million listeners and downloads. That's where our head's at right now, and I'm just really prioritizing the stuff that I started working on last year and bringing that into this year, and making 2024 the best it can be for myself and my heart and my spirit and everything in between, and do it for each and every single one of you. Whether this is the final leg of our show or not, we'll see. But I want you guys to know that I'm not going anywhere, and that we're gonna have fun with this as the weeks go by. I'm open to having more guests. I'll continue to put it out there, like, hey, if it's possible that we could have a CM Punk interview here, that'd be awesome. Let Punk know on Instagram. I don't think he's on Twitter as much these days, but let Punk know on Instagram that he should be on the Hoots Podcast, and hopefully we can make that happen as well. I think that'd be pretty cool, right? But like I said, man, we are 6 episodes away from episode 400, and thank you all for taking this ride with me. I have a couple other things I wanted to mention really quick on a personal point of view. First and foremost, I hope each and every single one of you had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's with your families. Hopefully everybody's in good spirits and good health as well. That's very important. Um, yeah, man, these next couple of months are gonna be interesting for me because my next doctor's appointment is gonna be in March, the middle of March, and I've been going nonstop with this walking stuff for the last 7 months or so, and I just it bites at you sometimes. It's not easy, man, but it's definitely worth it. I feel great. I feel at peace with a lot of things, and I'm genuinely like surprised and shocked with like the progress I made with a lot of this stuff. Um, One thing I really noticed, and I kind of talked about this on last week's episode. I what I'm more realizing from my experiences moving into this particular house, like I did at the end of May last year, from where we are right now on this January 4th. By the way, I did not get a chance to cover Wrestle Kingdom this year. That kind of bummed me out. I didn't get to watch it yet. So for those who are wondering if you get my takes on Wrestle Kingdom, I'm afraid I had to apologize in advance that I did not get to watch the show or cover it. So I have nothing to offer. I know today's a big day in the wrestling world, but um, going back to what I was trying to say. So, um, what I've really noticed from this experience is moving in here is that I am ready to go out and do this on my own. And that every lesson I learned in between, from my experience at my old department to here I am right now, from learning how to cook and everything else in between, and all of it. And I was talking about this with my mom yesterday. I'm like, everything I'm doing right now, career wise, personally, et cetera, et cetera, I could be doing anywhere in the world. So I think right now, I think really a big goal for me this year is actually getting out of Chicago for good. And that's really where my head's at right now. So, this has been a very positive week for me. I got a chance to talk to the guy that I helped share transcripts with. You guys see my work on wrestling headlines, the play-by-play articles. I want to give a shout out to Calvin, who runs the site, the guy who reached out to me 5 years ago and took a chance on me to share it. So for full disclosure, I'm not an employee of Wrestling Headlines, formerly known as Lords of Pain. I help out, do the shows that they need coverage, and that's basically it. I'm not a staff writer. I'm not anything. I help out. And Calvin reached out to me, and I reached out to him the other day just to see like where things were heading towards this year and like my plans and stuff like that. And it's been a very good week for me because I got a lot of reassurance from a lot of good places recently. And I got some reassurance from Calvin that the articles that I've been doing have been really good. And I won't disagree with that. Every time I put in an article that I did, it always pops up in the top of the Google search engine. So all that stuff is really cool and humbling. But to get that reassurance that I'm in a good place and that what I'm doing is good and not in the position to be put in where I was this time last year, it's complete 180. So I'm really like blessed and grateful for that. I really am. Um, just getting reassurance on a personal level from other people that mean a lot to me. Those type of conversations as well. And I'm just really excited for what this year has in store for me. Again, like I said last week, I'm not really into the whole New Year's resolution stuff and New Year, new me. Like, we can cut the bullshit. um, One thing I learned about myself from last year that I forgot to mention on last week's episode is that I've always put my when I put my mind to something, I just do it. I don't say it, and I don't give myself enough credit for being that type of person where if I say I'm going to do something, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to make excuse for it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to. I'm not going to hoodwink people or stuff like that. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I need to give myself more credit for that. So I'm going to do that. But this year should be a lot of fun, man. I'm really excited for what's in store for us as wrestling fans. I'm excited to obviously get to episode 400. That's gonna be a special show, man, and it's really cool, man. I'm entering now my 10th year as a wrestling media member. Also, it's going to be the 10-year anniversary from where I graduated from my broadcasting school, the Illinois Media School, which is coming up in March. So yeah, man, this year's gonna be a special one, and I'm just very grateful for each and every single one of you for taking the chance with this podcast. And we have a lot to discuss, but first and foremost, before we get to our regular segments and stuff like that, I just wanted to mention really quick. Make sure to, like I said, like this video on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. If you have questions, if you watch any of our live recordings of the Hoots podcast, you can. I'll give you a shout out on the show, and we'll go from there. But also, don't forget to get the podcast free of charge anywhere you get your podcast from. That includes Spotify, what? Google Play, what? Stitcher, what? Pandora, Amazon Music. I think it's available on an audio app. It's attached to Amazon. Anyway, just type in the Hoots Podcast, and it comes to you free of charge. So again, I just want to say thank you for the support. But when we come back, we got a lot to discuss this week in the world of wrestling, and we're going to start off big with the WWE. A lot of controversy, a lot of debates on whose story is more important to finish as we are slowly going into the craziest time of the year for all of us wrestling content creators, otherwise known as WrestleMania season. When I come back, let's talk about what happened this week in WWE right here on the Hoots Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hoots Podcast. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Here's a question I want to pose to each and every single one of you. Those who are long-time listeners or watchers of the podcast at Hoots know that I, for one, am a content creator that kind of looks more at the bigger picture aspects of pro wrestling as compared to the folks who live and die by each and every single episode of Raw and SmackDown each and every week. I'm not a clickbait content creator. I'm just not. I believe in authentic and nuanced conversations. So it's very rare at times where you're going to hear a hot take from me. But I have a question for each and every single one of you. What will satisfy you? I already know the answer to this question, but I'm curious to see your responses. What would satisfy you as the main event of WrestleMania 40? That's what I want to know, personally. Is it The Rock versus Roman Reigns and we finally get that head of the table spot? Is it CM Punk against Roman Reigns? Is it Cody Rhodes finishing his story? Is it Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton? Is it a match that I haven't even brought up yet? Is it CM Punk and John Cena in John Cena's retirement match? Let's throw that out there. Is it CM Punk against Stone Cold Steve Austin? What would satisfy you as the main event of WrestleMania? And I'm not just talking about, Josh, WrestleMania is too nice, so there's two main events. I'm talking literally the last match that we see on that Sunday in Philadelphia for night 2. What is the last thing we'll see at WrestleMania, and what's satisfying enough for you? That's the question. But here's the thing. I already know the answer. Nothing. It's not hard to really sit through the perception of where things are in the world of professional wrestling if your only source of that is social media, right? And I said it before, and I'll say it 1,000 times, that Twitter, especially, is a living cesspool. And Twitter thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes to being the smartest person in the room, know what's right and wrong for subjective, creative booking decisions, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody has the answer to everything just because there's a platform called X, and you can speak your mind. And we all have the freedom of speech, as The Rock said on Monday towards Jinder Mahal. I'm not going to go the whole America sucks route as Jinder did, but the way he was cutting his promo this past Monday kind of shed some lights on how I feel about the way professional wrestling in 2024 is talked about, covered, what discussed, what shared collectively, what. I think that all of us should be ashamed of ourselves. I am going to go that route. I'm not going to come in here and say America sucks, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do the whole gender shtick there. But the way he was going about it and saying that you should be disgusted and ashamed of yourself and what's became once a great nation is not a joke. That's the line that he used. But what's become of the great industry known as professional wrestling, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, as a fan, it's now become a joke. Like, it's bad enough for so many years that all of us have watched or covered or whatever when it comes to wrestling are like, hey, wrestling's fake. We always have people in our life come to us and say like, hey, wrestling's fake. Why are you wasting your time watching the fake stuff? Hey, don't you know it's fake, right? That was always the biggest plight for us wrestling fans, being looked down on, having people thumb their nose at us because we're measly wrestling fans, and our taste in entertainment is so diluted over the fact that we enjoy scripted results from people fighting in their tidy whities inside a ring in a presentation of entertainment for a male soap opera, more or less, right? Here we are now in 2024, and each and every single week that goes by, I notice more and more of these like circle jerk conversations on X where it's like one day after another, this person should main event WrestleMania, that person should main event WrestleMania, and everybody has the answer and the hypothesis and want to start the narratives and then try to pinpoint which narrative was wrong and do like the hey, I got you moment where you say an opinion or a take and then people throw it back at your face when it's wrong and stuff like that. I've over the years of being a content creator and as a person, I've matured a lot. I used to, when I first started doing this, I remember I used to like engage a lot with these type of conversations. I wouldn't say more or less try to defend companies. More for me at that point in my life, I was just trying to point out flaws in the arguments that are being made most of the time about these wrestling promotions. And from what I noticed over the years is that you try to do that and it's falling off dead ears. You'll say something and you point out a flaw in the argument. No matter what you say, you're going to be attached a shill, a defender, a mark, whatever, right? And what I really come to realize, not only in wrestling, not only in content creation, but in life too, man, you got to let your word speak for itself. People are going to come out here. They're going to act like they're the smartest person in the room. They're going to try to burst people's bubbles. There's this need for clout chasing and, hey, I'm the first with this. My source told me this. My source told me that, et cetera, et cetera. And for those who do that, more power to you. I think all of us, though, as wrestling fans, do ourselves a disservice more times than not. And I get it. If you watch strictly for the content purposes of professional wrestling, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. AEW is still around for those who need that alternative itch. New Japan is still around. TNA is reforming next week. WWE is coming off one of its best years in company history. It's really a great time to consume the product as a fan. Like if I was like a kid or a teenager, I'd be loving this stuff and eating it up. And even for me now at 29 years old and having 10 years of experience covering the industry for a living now, I told people this before, like The fan in me, the fan aspect of Joshua Adam Lopez, more or less is dead to a certain extent. There are moments here where I'll cover a show and if something is crazy and it starts popping me, I know that's a good thing. But I wouldn't say that I'm jaded or bitter towards the wrestling industry. I'm jaded and bitter towards the discussion and the way professional wrestling is covered and viewed in this era, society, wherever the fuck we're calling it, where we're just, I feel like all of us are leading each other astray and we're all just like talking out of both sides of our ass with these debates and stuff like that. And it's like, we're not getting to any resolution and it's not helping our enjoyment of professional wrestling. Professional wrestling and sports entertainment is supposed to be an escape for everybody, but I feel like each and every single week everything is like a referendum on, okay, now this is how the company views Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes gets upstaged in a promo by Shinsuke Nakamura on Raw this past Monday where Cody's left speechless. The Rock comes back and mentions the head of the table. So there it is. The Rock's going to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Oh, Cody's story is finished. That's it. Is it though? Is it really it? Is Cody not going to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40? I don't know. And then you go to Busted Open, the number one show, a show that I enjoy, a brand that I enjoyed for a long time. I actually seen Busted Open live in person in San Jose when I was covering WrestleMania 31. I've met Dave LaGreca. I consider him a friend. I actually had him on my old radio show before, the PWE show. For those who go all the way back with me, but even at times, Busted Open engages in hyperbole. And I don't want to come in here and say that now Dave's playing a character because he's such a Cody Rhodes mark that like he's just like so depressed over the fact that and crestfallen over the fact that Cody may or may not main event WrestleMania this year. I don't know if that's the case, and I'm not going to come here and throw out accusations, but I just think the way professional wrestling is consumed from a media point of view and a wrestling content creation point of view, I just feel like we're all just doing ourselves a disservice. And really, a lot of us should be ashamed of ourselves because I could come in here and I can express my opinion. I can tell you what I like, what I dislike, but I leave it at that, man. It's not that deep. I'm not gonna come on here and pontificate over what's what off of one episode of Raw into 2024. I'm just not. I can't make a grand conclusion here on January 4th that it's set in stone that Cody Rhodes is going to be messed around. He was lied to. He should have signed the contract. Supposedly, Fightful put out a report over the fact that Cody didn't re-sign with WWE. Another outlet saying he did. And it's just the way wrestling media is in 2024 is what I'm sick of and what I am exhausted with and what I'm tired of sipping through. And I feel like sometimes I'm fighting a battle that I will never win, but I had to remain true to myself. So really, you guys probably noticed now, especially over the last 2 years, especially that I don't really engage as much on Twitter when it comes to live tweeting and giving my takes on angles and stuff like that. I'll mention, like, hey, this person has a good match here and there, or maybe I'll point out a waterfall just for comedy purposes. By the way, when I do that, I hope you guys are not taking me that serious. I do respect women, but I could throw a joke over here and say a chick's hot. It's not the end of the world. But anyway, that's not the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is that I don't really engage as much on social media when it comes to storylines and what's the right decision, creative, booking, et cetera, because I just think it's wasted energy. It's wasted energy. There's no productive aspect of those type of conversations because uh, we're gonna get to the point where people gonna take shots at each other because I disagree with your opinion, you disagree with mine. I just think it's useless conversation, and it's sad that there's so many people within the circle and the people who do this for real and been part of the industry for a while. And I'm talking about the wrestling media content industry that are so desperate to be like, I'm the first of this. See, I'm right and you're wrong. Look, I'm not gonna put a front here. I like proving people wrong. Um, to a certain extent, I'm driven off of spite. It's just in it for me because I've been burnt a lot of my life, and Michael Jordan is one of my heroes, and I really take a lot of his mentality from the Last Dance with a lot of things. But I handled those situations differently. A lot of people do that publicly for clout and attention. I get my revenge by letting my work speak for itself. And a lot of times I don't need to give out my hot takes for opinions when it comes to these angles and stuff while these shows are going on because most of the time I'm covering the show. I don't have time to engage on it. And two, I'd rather save those thoughts for platforms that matter, like this show. So whether I believe Cody Rhodes should main event WrestleMania 40 or not, really at the end of the day, really doesn't mean anything. It's really not the end of the world. But I just feel like in 2024 that it would be much better for a lot of people if we could just keep our opinions as that and not twist it as the gospel truth. And especially for content creators, I wish a lot of us take a step back and humble ourselves and not act like our shit don't stink and that we have the answers to everything because we don't. I'm not in the industry, and neither are you. So let's not try to um, let's not do a disservice to the wrestling fans because you got a connection with a production road case guy from WWE, or more or less Fightful gets their information from Will Washington because Will used to do stuff at Fightful and now he works for AEW. I'm sorry. I this is the part with Joshie where I am too honest to a fault at times, where I say things maybe I shouldn't, but I have to call it for what it is. Anything that comes out of AEW when it comes to reporting for Fightful, more or less, is probably coming from Will Washington, and you can't convince me otherwise. And this is not a knock at Will. I don't know him. I never had a chance to talk to him. I respect what he did with his podcast with Grassity, and I watched those shows on the weekend over the years. The Grassity show. I have no personal issues with Will Washington, but let's call it what it is. Let's not lie to people, you know. So okay, like another conversation, the Mercedes Monet stuff. Is she coming back to WWE? Is she going to AEW? And it's like this back and forth every day. We're like, okay, now she's going back, now she isn't. And then it's like the one thing on Twitter that really annoys me the most is when like the I wouldn't say subtle, but like when people do like the look emoji with the two eyes and they try to pretend that something big's happening and then it doesn't happen. I I can't stand cloud chasers. That's something that'll never change for me, whether it's 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, etc., etc. I can't stand cloud chasers. I just can't. Look, man, we really need to work on putting a delineation between what's an opinion and what's a fact. A fact is The Rock is a draw. The fact is The Rock is a megastar. An opinion here is that The Rock and Roman Reigns doesn't need the title for it to have merit for the particular match. An opinion here, Cody Rhodes should finish his story at WrestleMania. It's not a fact. This is not sports. We're in a position right now where we're arguing things that are just going to end up in good business for WWE. So really, what's in the wrong with that? What's wrong if The Rock does fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania instead of Cody Rhodes? What's wrong if The Rock and Roman Reigns fight each other at the Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia? What's wrong if CM Punk and Seth Rollins don't main event night one of WrestleMania and you do Rock and Roman and Cody on the second night, et cetera, et cetera. All these little fancy booking ideas I keep seeing every other day. It's nothing original. I mean, I could point that stuff out like anybody else. But my point is, or what I'm trying to say here is that we need to put a delineation between what's a fact and what's an opinion. And I'm not going to dismiss people's opinions, but if you're going to start carrying yourself as if your shit don't stink and everything you say is a fact and like, hey, I'm the first with this. Oh, my sources told me that. Like, there's only so much I can take you seriously. And that's just what it is. So and it takes the enjoyment because guess what? This is going to be ratcheting up more and more as we get closer to the Royal Rumble. And then we have to go through the annual situation. Oh, if this person wins, then the entire building in the arena is going to boo the winner out of the building because we're so stuck on that fucking Royal Rumble that Daniel Bryan didn't win in Pittsburgh in 2014. When, by the way, Daniel Bryan lost earlier to the show clean to Bray Wyatt, God rest his soul, in a great match. So, yeah, you could lose clean the opening match of the pay-per-view in a grudge feud that you're having with Bray, but miraculously, you could hawk up like Superman and win the Royal Rumble at the same night. I never got that argument. I never did. And again, even from what I just said, that's just opinion that I have. That doesn't mean that I'm right about the situation or I'm wrong about it. All this stuff's subjective. And that's the thing. Like, we need to calm down. We're being too loud, if I can use the Taylor Swift reference here. So look, man, I'm happy as anybody that The Rock showed up. It's always a good time to cover The Rock. And to say that The Rock and Roman should not happen or Cody should finish the story, et cetera, et cetera. I really don't think there's a scenario where you're going to have a situation where it's going to be bad business at the end of the day for WWE because at the end of the day, this is not a charity promotion. This is not AEW, for example, right? Where they listen to every little aspect that goes on social media and let social media and the dirt sheets dictate what they do. WWE is about making money. Whether you like that or not, WWE is about making money. And there's no scenario from everybody that's pitching and making these debates on social media. There's nothing right now that tells me that you're not going to have successful WrestleMania 40, whether or not Cody Rhodes finishes his story at WrestleMania or not. And it goes back to another conversation with Cody, where like people are so it's strange. Maybe because he's the first person from AEW to leave AEW and come to WWE. That's like people are more or less trying to project what his future is going to be, as opposed to just being present and seeing for yourself. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, if Cody doesn't finish his story at WrestleMania, then people will turn their back on him. Ever since Cody came back to WWE, I heard it. Oh, they better do something with Cody or the crowd will turn on him. Oh, watch out. You better make sure that Cody wins at WrestleMania 39 or the crowd's going to start turning on him. And then here we are now going towards WrestleMania 40. If Cody Rhodes doesn't finish his story at WrestleMania, the crowd's going to turn on him. Watch the fucking show. What evidence have you seen from anywhere besides freaking sissy ass marks on X that the fans are going to turn on Cody Rhodes? Look at the house shows. Look at the impact that Cody's having on kids at these live events. It's kind of close to a Bret Hart type of situation. They're going to turn on Cody Rhodes because The Rock and Roman Reigns are going to fight each other at WrestleMania. If that's the case, come on now. This is a business, man. It's not a fucking charity case. So let's say that The Rock and Roman fight each other at the Elimination Chamber. Great. If they fight at WrestleMania 40, great. If it's CM Punk and Seth Rollins on night one, great. Watch the show. Let the content tell you where it's gonna go. I get it. It's great to have this discourse as fans and stuff like that, but we start talking in circles about the situation and everything, and it's like there's nothing productive that comes from it. It really isn't. I feel like every time I go on X, I feel like I'm losing like IQ points, and I listen to some of these shows and stuff like that, and it's just like let the show you where things are actually going. And whether you're still on the camp that Roman Reigns' title reign has gone too long and blah 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 blah, that's your prerogative. I don't agree. So let's see where things go from there. Let me take a quick swig of water really quick. So I'll throw out the question again. What will be good enough for you as far as what main events WrestleMania 40 for you? Let me know. I'd love to see your responses either here on YouTube or on X. A couple things I wanted to mention really quick here from Raw. A couple other things that were unrelated to The Rock and Cody Rhodes. It was a big night for the women. I thought Becky Lynch and Nia Jax had a tremendous match. I thought Rhea had one of her best title defenses so far in her title reign against Ivy Nile. I was really happy for Ivy. I thought she was going to be in a situation where the crowds were just going to be sitting on their hands and nobody would care. But both those ladies did a very good job, so I want to give a shout out to both of them. I also want to give a shout out for Jinder Mahal for how he carried himself in the segment with The Rock. I know a lot of people look down on Jinder and his WWE title reign, but you guys know me. I always rocked with the modern day Maharaja. So it was cool to see him, and dress is great. I thought his promo was good, and I thought he carried himself well against Rock. So some good stuff for Jinder. What else that I wanted to mention? I hope Giovanni Vinci's all right. I don't know what happened, what really caused his injury, but it's unfortunate that match with Imperium and Kofi and Jay got stopped. But my thoughts go out to Giovanni Vinci, and I hope he's all right. What else I wanted to mention really quick? Oh, R-Truth, man. The quest of R-Truth still being in the Judgment Day is hilarious, man. I don't know if it's going to have the same impact as Sami Zayn in the Bloodline, but R-Truth in the Judgment Day is just it's fantastic. It really is. I enjoyed it. It's really funny that R-Truth is doing the stuff he's doing right now, and it's just I watched the show on Monday, man, and he's like, okay, so they're gonna do JD McFlurry and Dominic against the Austin Truth, right? And Truth's like to Vince, hey man, I'm not tagging with JD. So he's like he doesn't know what tag team he's on, and it's hilarious, man. Also, once again, man, Dominic Mysterio getting nuclear types of heat in his even in his hometown of San Diego on Monday. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. So I thought that was hilarious. And I thought the Seth Rollins Drew McIntyre match was pretty good on Monday. Dave Priest came out trying to do a cash in. It didn't work out for him. I think the writing's on the wall when it comes to Damian Priest. I think he's going to have an unsuccessful cash in. There's always some circumstance that comes up. So either it's something where Damian Priest tries to do a cash in at the Royal Rumble. Do you get a triple threat with him, McIntyre, and Rollins at the Royal Rumble? Like, what's going to happen? Will the Judgment Day cost Priest his cash in? Something's got to give, but I thought that was pretty cool. Really quick, let's talk a little bit about NXT's New Year's Evil show. I forgot to mention this really quick. As we record this on a Thursday, Triple H announced that Money in the Bank will be in Toronto this year, right after the 4th of July. That weekend will be in Toronto. There's the SmackDown, there's the Money in the Bank on a Saturday, and then there's the NXT special, Heat Wave. I think that's a PLE that's happening that weekend as well. So it's gonna be a big weekend for your boy, and I'm excited to cover those shows for sure in July. But let's go back to NXT really quick. NXT New Year's Evil was on live at the USA Network on Tuesday. If you guys haven't seen Live Valkyria against Blair Davenport, go out of your way to watch the match. It was fantastic. I keep saying that, man. Blair Davenport is somebody to watch in 2024. She's hot. She's badass in the ring. She cuts good promos, and she's just that damn good. Blair Davenport got everything that you want. I also want to give a shout out to Fallon Henley. She won her match against Tiffany Stratton. Now Tiffany Stratton more or less will be Fallon Henley's assistant at the ranch and her family's bar and stuff like that, which I thought was cool. But I want to give a shout out to her because, getting the opportunity to cover wrestling like I do and cover a lot of these play-by-play articles. I get to run into a lot of these performers who are younger, on the rise and stuff like that, and I see these performers that are on AEW Dark. I can't tell you how many AEW Dark shows I did over the years, and Elevation and stuff like that. And I saw Fallon Henley, who was called Tesha Price at the time, and seeing her growth and development from where she was there to where she is now, and the NXT crowd seems to enjoy her character. I always thought she was good in the ring, and she's even elevated since joining WWE a couple of years ago. And here we are now. I think she's in for a good year as well. Do I think she'll become an NXT Women's Champion? We'll have to see. But I just want to give a shout out to Fallon Henley because I think to see her success story coming from AEW Dark to where she is now, it's nice to see. So I wanted to give her a shout out. What else? What else I forgot to mention? Oh yeah, Carmelo Hayes is guilty. Um, you're not going to convince me otherwise. Melo is guilty. So Trick Williams and Grayson Waller was the main event of that show. I got a question about that in the back porch Q&A session. I'll be answering that later on. But yeah, I thought the New Year's Evil special was cool. Carlito came out with the LWO. They had a match with the No Quarter Catch crew. That was pretty decent. Obafemi won the 2023 men's breakout tournament over Riley Osborne. And yeah, that was pretty much it for the stuff that stood out the most to me from NXT this past Tuesday. Like I said, go out of your way to watch that Blair Davenport and Lyra Valkyrie match because it was really, really good. CM Punk will be on this WWE 2024 preview special tonight. I'm kind of curious to see how that thing's going to go. Punk will be making an appearance, so hear what he has to say. Punk will be back on Raw this Monday from Portland. I know that'll be a big show for him because he's a big Roddy Piper guy, so obviously that should be a fun show to watch coming up on Monday. So curious to see where Punk's mindset is heading towards the Royal Rumble. And I think we'll see a little bit more Punk as we get closer and closer to the Rumble. So I'm very excited to see my favorite wrestler back on TV this Monday. So it should be pretty cool. We'll see whether announcements Triple H has to make, or maybe it's just the Money in the Bank announcement that was made earlier today. We'll have to see. Besides that, coming up tomorrow, as I'm recording, this will be SmackDown's New Year's Revolution. I want to give a shout out to Nick Aldis because I really enjoyed that backstage that we had with Roman Reigns a couple weeks ago. I thought that was very good. But here we are. We have Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. Yeah. They'll be fighting each other in a triple threat match. The winner of that match will be taking on Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. A lot of scenarios could be happening here. Is this something where they all start fighting each other and then Jimmy or Solo's ego get bruised to the point where they cost everybody the match and it ends up being a fatal four-way? Does Randy Orton win straight up? Does AJ Styles win? I don't believe LA Knight will win. Um, I know that'll upset some people, but I think LA Knight is full steam ahead towards getting that United States Championship over Logan Paul at WrestleMania. But I think the match is gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. You got three veterans in the ring. It should be a fun time to watch it play at. And yeah, I think either Randy Orton wins or Jimmy and his inflated ego these days goes in and costs everybody the match, and then all this makes it a fatal four way. That's how I think that's going to play out. But also, wanted to mention Kevin Owens against Santos Escobar, the finals of this number one contenders tournament for the United States Championship. I think Kevin will win, and Kevin will fight Logan at the Royal Rumble. That's my guess on that one. Io Sky is putting her WWE Women's Championship on the line against Mia Yim. That should be a pretty good match. Looking forward to that. And the Tribal Chief will be on SmackDown tomorrow night. Curious to see what he has to say. Will he mention The Rock? Will he mention the CM Punk factor as well? We'll see what's on the mind of the Tribal Chief coming up on SmackDown this week. But he put the laughing emoji when you heard The Rock say that he was going for the head of the table. Man, Roman's gonna talk a lot of shit, and I'm here for it. I really am. But all of that, just a little samplings of stuff that happened this week in WWE and stuff that stood out the most to me. But going back to the question I posed at the beginning of this segment, what will satisfy you as far as a main event of WrestleMania 40 concerns? You. But we have more things to get to, like one of our main event segments. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to sit back, relax, strap it down, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for another restaurant quality edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Let's start this bad boy off in a 3, a 2, a 1.
Your meat, beat 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 your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living it. My time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
Man, what intensity.
The quality of the product and the quality of the shows is at an all-time high right now. But I do know that it's a real war between AEW and WWE.
I'm still cashing fat checks, and I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Oy vey. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for another edition of What the Hell's Wrong with AEW, brought to you by the good folks at the Wrestling Observer, Fightful Select, and PW Torch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do as we get closer to episode 400 and add a new wrinkle to the twist here, because, I mean, really, what you're looking at the screen right now is just, it's beautiful, man. I think Picasso and Vanguard and every other famous artist looking at this is just a thing of beauty, man. Let's give a big shout out to our boy Joe Cerna, aka Humic, for making this beautiful graphic for your boy. if there's anybody that knows how to make this particular picture that you're seeing on the screen into like a t-shirt or hoodie that maybe we could possibly sell as merchandise, that would mean a lot to me, because that would really help us out a lot too. So yes, we have this beautiful piece of artistry right here, and I'm going to leave it on the screen as we do these segments going forward, because you guys see enough of my ugly face as it is. So let's have some fun here, shall we? All right, what the hell's wrong with AEW? There's many different directions I could go this week, but there's some things from a positive point of view that I wanted to mention really quick before we get to the thing that y'all been waiting for. Obviously, we had the World's End pay-per-view that happened this past Saturday night at Nassau Coliseum. I thought the show was good. I wouldn't say the show was great or anything. There's a couple of matches for me that I thought really saved the show, but more or less, I felt like this show was like a longer version of like Collision, more than a pay-per-view, more or less. But the Adam Copeland Christian no disqualification match for the TNT title, I thought was very good. Despite the whole scenario with Kill Switch cashing his title opportunity because he won the mid battle royal on the 0 hour of World's End. So I know why he did it. It makes Christian look good. Christian's still having this legendary run right now, and really, there's really not you can take away from Christian. I mean, he's killing it in the ring. He's killing it on the microphone. He's, like I said, I'm not the only one that thinks that. I mean, you hear almost every other wrestling podcast say this now, but it's true. Christian is doing some of the best work of his career, and I was not surprised that these two had a really good match. I just feel it for me personally, and I'm only speaking for myself. I feel in some ways AEW's kind of hurt what the potential of what this particular feud could have been. I've mentioned this many times over the years that Tony Khan just loves to drop his load and rush into things because, hey, I got a new shiny toy and I got to show it off. So you burn through one main event match on a TV show just to have Nick Wayne's mom come out. Great to look at, but I don't know why the hell she's so involved into this program as she is. And then here we are going into the match that happened on Saturday. Like I said earlier, I just felt like the pay-per-view, as I was watching it, just felt like a longer version of Collision than a regular pay-per-view. So I'm like, okay, it's there, but like, why would anybody pay $50 for this, right? So I'm watching the match, and more or less, Edge and Christian saved the show. And it was good. I liked the physicality. I loved Edge's little throwback gear to WrestleMania 22. I was at that show. That was the first WrestleMania I got to go with my dad. That was a fun time. 2006 WrestleMania 22. I was a month away from turning 12. So, boy, does time go by quick, doesn't it? Anyways, that was good. What else I wanted to mention really quick from the pay-per-view that I forgot to mention. Just give me 1 second. I gotta pull up the card here. I liked the 8-man tag that kicked off the show, even though it was more or less a showcase for the losers from the Continental Classic, but I thought the match was pretty good. Also, I want to give a shout out to Eddie Kingston for becoming the inaugural AEW Continental Champion, defeating Jon Moxley. I make no bones about it that for me, I really shrugged my shoulders in indifference towards Jon Moxley's matches these days. And the only Jon Moxley that I do enjoy is the New Japan version of Jon Moxley, not really the AEW version of Jon Moxley. But I'm happy for Eddie Kingston. I thought they told a good story, and it was a very good physical match. So I was happy for Eddie to get that moment in his home state of New York. And then let's talk a little bit about the main event really quick, because I like this as well. Samoa Joe defeats MJF. He put him to sleep. Samoa Joe won with the Coquina Clutch. Samoa Joe is your brand new AEW World Champion, so let's give a shout out to Samoa Joe. Shout out to Samoa Joe for becoming the champion. But the big deal was the turn of the devil. And it ended up who should have been the entire time, and it was Adam Cole. Adam Cole now is associated with the Kingdom again, and they have Wardlow by his side now. And they gave the boots to MJF. I thought the reveal was good. I didn't think the finish of the match was that great, but as far as, when they, I know they overdo this a lot. They do a lot of this like ECWS thing where they turn the lights off and you don't know who it is. Oh my God, who is it? Who is it? And then it's just there. But like I for the most part, whether you believe it or not, I did like the devil reveal, and I thought it was pretty good. So I just wanted to say that really quick. What else I wanted to say as far as this show's concerned? Yeah, I mean, a lot of the other matches were just there and stuff I could have seen on TV. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the whole NDA chants and stuff like that towards Chris Jericho, I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, man, that Chris Jericho stuff, man, is in a weird vortex that I just don't want to get into. I already said what I needed to say about Chris Jericho on last week's episode of the Hoots Podcast, so I don't want to continue to pile on the guy. Like I said, I don't know Chris Urban, and my shots towards him is not towards him personally, but the guy that I know as Chris Jericho just hasn't been putting out good content recently, and that's really the root of my issue. But regardless, yeah, it's not looking good for him right now. What else I was gonna say really quick as far as this pay-per-view is concerned? Oh, by the way, shout out to seeing CJ Perry on the screen. I know she was running into a recent medical issue, so I'm glad that she was out there. She looked great. So does Renee Paquette, but guess what? Water is wet. So that was World's End. The other stuff that it was just there, I didn't care for. Like I said, the tag match that Jericho's in, I thought it was just a match just to have Sting out there. Whatever. Swerve beat Dustin Rhodes. Indifferent. I'm kind of indifferent now whether Swerve has a match with Keith Lee or not. I really don't care at this point. Tony Storm is good, but I just didn't care about this match with Riho. I just didn't care about it. Same thing kind of applies to the Julia Hart Abaddon match. I'm happy for Julia Hart's development and stuff like that. She's putting out some good work, but this is a match that did not need to be on pay-per-view. So, yeah, I mean, you look at some of the run times for some of these matches, they just overstay its welcome. Like the 8-man that I just mentioned, that match went 15 minutes. The Julia Hart one went 11. What else? Andrade and Miro went almost 15. The opener went 18 minutes. The opening match went longer than the Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley match. And it's crazy. The runtime for the opening match was the same runtime as the main event. So I found that to be very interesting. Let's take a quick swig of water real quick. All right. So that's that. And like I said, World's End, a good show, but I wouldn't constitute this as a pay-per-view that I would go back to watch, let alone pay $50 for it. That is a hashtag no shot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Dynamite from last night from Newark, New Jersey. Some big happenings going on in AEW. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Deonna Purrazzo is all elite, much to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Look, man, I made my opinions known about Deonna Purrazzo. It's kind of a similar thing to Athena. When you run to dirt sheets looking for sympathy when it comes to creative and booking and stuff, I just have no sympathy for you. But that's not to say that I don't enjoy Deonna Purrazzo's work, because I have, and I think she's a cool person and all that. I enjoyed her work at Impact. I covered a lot of her matches. She's really good at what she does. But, I'm not mad or whatever that she decided not to go back to WWE. Look, you can bring in everybody you want into AEW, but what is Tony Khan actually going to do to make the women's division actually stand out? That's the question. That's the question I have. You could bring in Deanna, you can bring in Camille, you can bring in Mercedes Moné, you can bring in whoever, but does it mean anything if the women's division is not going to be properly presented the way it should be? That's the question. When's the last time a women's match main evented Dynamite or Collision? I'll wait. I mean, it's good that you have like some of these rising talents get some momentum recently, like Sky Blue and Julia Hart. I know Mariah May made her in-ring debut last night. I thought she looked decent in the match. I seen her work in New Japan, so I'm not really surprised with it. I mean, Mariah May is another one where she has the look. She cuts good promos. She's pretty decent in the ring. So it's really not much you can ask from her. But Deanna Purrazzo, yes, on paper it's a great addition to the roster, but let's call it what it is. Let's call it like we see it on a television screen. I think we're just biding time with these acquisitions and free agents because is Saraya at a bigger level now since she joined AEW, or she's still in the same place? Look at Ruby Soho. I could go on. The list goes on and on. But I'm happy for Deanna if that's what she wanted, and I think they said that AEW was her preferred landing spot. And look, you gotta live your life, man. You gotta go with what's good for your heart, and that's where she wanted to be. So I'm happy for her. I'm not gonna come in here and shit on it. All I am gonna say is that you can bring in as many free agents as you want, but let's not forget who's actually running and booking this company. So we'll see what happens. What else? I like the I'm kind of surprised how positive I am this week with what the hell's wrong with AEW. That's gonna be a little throw off for everybody. Everybody just expects me to come in here and shit on it the entire time. But I liked the promo that Adam Cole cut on Wednesday. I thought it was good. It made sense. I don't know how I feel about your most dangerous group running away from the Acclaimed, but that's just my opinion. But for what it's worth, I thought Adam Cole's promo was pretty good to kick off the show, and I want to give us a chance because we were supposed to have the Firm, right? That went nowhere. We have had other factions, the Pinnacle, the Jericho Appreciation Society, etc., etc. I want to see a new faction actually has the sustainability and actually be worthwhile. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I like Adam Cole's promo from last night. Let's take a swig of water real quick. You need to calm down. You're being too loud. All right. What else do we got here? We had a lot of just matches. Darby and Kanose Takeshi was pretty decent, I'll say. I wasn't really crazy about Swerve against Swerve against Daniel Garcia. I don't know why that's the main event, to be honest with you. I know they want to give Daniel Garcia some more spotlight in 2024, and more power to them. But that match was just there. It just had no rhyme or reason to it. But, spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, Heyman Page is back, and he's upset. And water is wet. Whoopity-doo! Oh, yay, we're going to have another Swerve Hangman match. Great. Guess what happens when Hangman wins and everybody loses their shit, right? Oh, man. It's so crazy, like, the regression when it comes to, like, the performers for the Elite, right? Like, the Young Bucks don't mean shit now as we enter 2024. Kenny Omega, unfortunately, is dealing with this diverticulitis situation. And now you have other situations like now Hangman too. Nobody gives a shit. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. But yeah, more or less, I thought Dynamite was all right. I just didn't feel like Dynamite really like hit like the nail in the coffin. I didn't think like they hit a home run like I thought they should have, because that pay per view wasn't that much to write home about. Then you had all the controversy going on with Chris Jericho and stuff like that. I'm not saying that the show last night was bad, but it wasn't something that just wowed me or anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it on the Dynamite tip as well. What else I wanted to mention really quick with AEW this week? Did I forget anything? Um, don't get your hopes up. I think it's probably the most positive I ever been for what the hell's wrong with AEW. Yeah, let me talk about this really quick before we do the Excrement impression. Look, man, they need to figure out what they're going to do with Chris Jericho. They really do, because it's just not looking good for the guy. Like I hate that it's got to this point for him where his legacy is starting to be tarnished over decisions he makes, and it's unfortunate to see that. It really is. So I want the best for him, but he needs to take a good hard look in the mirror and make some changes for sure. So that's that. Let me do my Excrement impression, and then we'll put a ribbon on the bow for this segment, shall we? All right, let's do this. Coming to live tomorrow night on TNT is another stellar edition of AEW Rampage. Here's your matches. First, we have Willow and... Let me restart. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live tomorrow night on TNT is another stellar edition of AEW Rampage. Here are your matches. First, we have Will Nightingale and Chris Statler in tag team matches. Next, for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship is the champion Wheeler Yuta taking on Commander. From there, we have women's action as Hikaru Shida takes on returning beautiful big ass Anna Jay. And our main event is a trios match featuring the Hardys and Mark Briscoe taking on a team of the Butcher, the Blade, and Kip Sabian, aka the Butcher, the Blade, and the Widowmaker. And more action to be announced for Collision, as we also have FTR taking on the House of Black. More matches being announced. Make sure to follow CountDAHN on Twitter at CountDAHN. Get all your AEW tickets right now at AWTIX.com. That's AWTIX.com. And don't forget, coming up this Saturday on Collision, it's Eddie Kingston putting his AEW Continental Championship on the line against Trent Beretta. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is What the Hell's Wrong with AEW, right here on the Hoots Podcast.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Everything. All right. Don't say that. That's art there. I have my faith. Don't say that. I still rock with the man upstairs. That's just art right there. That's a beautiful painting right there. I think even Nani would approve it, to be honest with you. All right, that is What the Hell's Wrong with AEW. Let me take this off the screen really quick. All right, there you go. There you go. Hi, everybody. We got one more segment to do before we get to our main event, and you guys know what time it is. And it's a segment that we do each and every single week, and it's something that we introduced towards the end of 2023, and it's a segment that I enjoy doing a lot because it's fun to nominate Nimrods and give them awards for it. And it's known as the CLAHN of the Week.
I'm not CLAHN. Constant CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
One more time for good measure.
I'm not CLAHN. Constant CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
All right, the CLAHN of the Week, where we award Nimrods across the world. It's not even just wrestling related. We have a smorgasbord of CLAHN of the Week nominees this week. I gotta tell you what, man, it's really something watching some of the stuff that I see on social media and the news and stuff like that. I gave award last week to Jair Alexander for making an ass out of himself, where he cost his team the opportunity to get the ball back in the second half. You guys saw that whole coin toss controversy in Charlotte for that Packers Panthers game. I did that. For this week, though, the list and the playbook is wide open. First winner of the CLAHN of the week this week goes to Cat Williams. Dude, man, what are you doing? I don't even need to explain what's going on. Cat Williams, man, get your shit together. Figure it out! My God. That's the first CLAHN of the week. The second one. This is a I wouldn't say a farewell, but let's raise our water jugs, our wine bottles, whatever you're watching, drinking to as you're watching and listening to this. Raise it up in the air. Let's give out a toast to one of the biggest CLAHNs in the history of professional wrestling, even though he's very good and very influential from a production point of view. But still, a CLAHN's a CLAHN one way if you're that type of individual. Let's give a toast to Bucky Beaver Boy Kevin Dunn. Congratulations on a great 40-year run with WWE and you being an absolute asshole to everybody along the way. So congratulations to Kevin Dunn on a great career. As Cornette would say, Bucky Beaver Boy. We're not wrestling. We're not wrestling. CLAHN. All right, what other one I wanted to mention really quick as far as CLAHNs of the week? Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, man. The CLAHN of the week for me, especially this week, goes to all the absolute idiots out there from the Entertainment Tonight, all these news headlines and stuff like that are blaming Taylor Swift for the reason for the Chiefs' struggles this season. Look, man, this is not some Ashley Simpson, Tony Romo situation. If you're really going to blame Taylor Swift of all people for the Chiefs not playing to their level or what they're supposed to be, you really are a clown. Because it's stupid. Why would you blame a singer for a team sucking? This is not like the Cubs where they had to blame Steve Bartman for them costing them the World Series in 2003. Like, come on, man. It's not that serious. So the girl is there to support her boyfriend, even though I think her boyfriend at times conducts himself in a jackassian manner. But still, like, even then, I'm not going to come here and blame Taylor Swift of all people for the Chiefs not playing up to their level. Guess what? They're overrated this year. It is what it is. C'est la vie. It's not a big deal. But if you're going to blame Taylor Swift of all people, these are big outlets too. They're just causing drama where it doesn't need to be caused drama. Let the girl be happy. She's in a relationship that she seems to be happy about for once. Let her be happy about it. What does it matter that she's showing up to these games? Who gives a fuck? So, like, it's not the end of the world that Taylor Swift is at these games to support Travis Kelce. It's not that big of a deal. And if you're going to blame her, of all people, for the Chiefs not being the number one seed in the AFC, you really got some issues. So that's definitely my clown of the week. But we have more that's attached to the segment than just clowns. This is my time, the show where I get to talk a little bit about sports and stuff like that. And right now, we're going to be playing, not going to play, but I'm going to show you my picks for week 18. This is the season finale for the NFL before the playoffs start, and I'm very excited to check that out. And I'll show you my picks for week 18. Let me pull this up on the screen really quick. Just 1 second. All right, let's do that. We got that there, and boom. How about them apples? Or that apples? No. No, this will do. All right, so here are my picks for Week 18. We start off on Saturday. We have two games on Saturday. We got the Ravens over the Steelers. I know Lamar Jackson is not playing this weekend, but I think the Ravens are still going to win. I think the Steelers will collapse. They're too much of an ego-driven team this season, and I don't think they'll make the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Ravens this one. I got the Texans over the Colts, Browns over the Bengals. I got the Lions over the Vikings. Jaguars go on the road to beat the Titans. I got the Jets over the Patriots. That game is going to suck. I'm just going to be straight up. That game is going to be terrible. Terrible. I got the Saints over the Falcons. Bucks over Panthers. Bears over the Packers on CBS. Look at that. 325 kick at Lambeau Field. I think the Bears are going to whip the Packers' ass on Sunday. That's my prediction. From there, we have the Raiders over the Broncos at home. Eagles over Giants. Seahawks over the Cardinals. Chiefs over the Chargers. Rams against the 49ers. I got the Rams in that one. I got the Commanders over. I got the Cowboys over the Washington Commanders. And then finally, the Sunday night football game, Bills and Dolphins. The Bills get a big victory on the road as they win the AFC East for another year in a row. So those are my predictions. No, for Week 18 of the NFL season. We got one more break to get to, but when we come back, we'll get to our main event segment this week of the Hoots Podcast, otherwise known as the Back Porch Q&A session, right here on the Hoots Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to do one more segment here on the Hoots Podcast this week, otherwise known as the Back Porch Q&A session. As always, like I say, I appreciate all of you who ever check out the live recordings of the Hoots Podcast. Don't forget, we are 6 episodes away from getting to episode 400. And don't forget, if you want to send any audio shout-outs so you can be a part of not WrestleMania, but episode 400 of the Hoots Podcast, you can. You can make them as long as you want, but just send them to an MP3. Make them into an MP3 file and send it to the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. All right, let's get to our final segment here this week on the Hoots Podcast. We get to our questions here that we do each and every single week, otherwise known as the Back Porch Q&A. I'll answer some any live questions that we have here as well in the chat box if you have any for me. But let's start off with the good brother Chris Saletta at XTeenSaletta24X. Let's throw up the X for Chris. Pretty cool, right? By the way, I'm going to give a shout out to this, I don't know what type of sweatshirt you want to call it or whatever, but I got this long sleeve shirt that I bought off of Amazon. So shout out to Hanes for this beauty here. It's simple. I like it. It looks good on me, and it's comfortable. You can't go wrong with that. So, all right, let's go to Chris and see what questions he asked for us this week. Oh, yes. The tradition unlike any other. How about this one? How many head coaches will be fired by Monday? Happy Black Monday, man. I say this every year, and it always pops me, man. Every football season, I get this question from him. How many coaches will be fired? Well, guess what, Chris? Let's go with maybe 4 coaches getting fired, because there's already been a couple that have been fired during this season, so I wouldn't expect as much firings as they usually are, but I'm going to go with my best estimate would be 4. Your thoughts on the Devil reveal? I liked it. I thought some ways getting into it's kind of clunky, but I thought for the most part it did what it needed to do, and it showed Max a very important life lesson, man, that you cannot trust anybody. You got to let people's actions show you how you go about your business, and I'm really big about reciprocal energy. I've let people into my life that I gave my heart to, and then they just drew it back in my face or used me or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So even for myself, I learned that lesson a long way. It doesn't make you a bad person. I'm not openly going my way to be an asshole or a dick to anybody, but you can't be treated like shit and being, being a pushover and stuff like that. I'm not tolerating that stuff. So it was a good life lesson for Max, man, because even you think your closest friends bring out the good side of you and making you a better person, and then they still stab you in the back. You got to watch out for yourself. Very important life lesson, ladies and gentlemen. Don't take shit from anybody. Not anybody. So, let's. Like I said, I like the reveal, and I thought it served its purpose. Thoughts on Mariah May's debut? Like I said on the segment, I thought it was good. She has good waterfall. I seen her work in the ring, so I wasn't surprised. I think she's gonna carry herself well. I don't know how long this thing with her and Tony Storm is gonna be, but looks like they want to make an emphasis to her, so we'll have to see how it goes. Diana to AEW. History has not been kind to those from Impact to AEW. Will the results stay the same with this latest? I think Diana will be a good acquisition for AEW, but do I think it's going to be a game changer or something that's going to make the AEW women's division go to another level? I do not. And it's not because the talent within the division, it's the ways they're presented. So I like Diana Purrazzo. It looks like she wanted to be there. If that's what makes her happy, then so be it. But no, I am not. I'm not going with that. Just not. Okay, Rocky Roman, do you think it's more likely taking place in Berlin? Wrestling Twitter, Cody's never going to finish the story. Wrestling Twitter can go home and stay home as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if The Rock and Roman will be in Berlin because that'll be way past SummerSlam. But I think for me personally, Chris, I think it either happens at the Elimination Chamber or at WrestleMania. But I think either way, like I said in the beginning of the show, you're not going to go wrong either way, whether The Rock or Roman fight each other at the Elimination Chamber or at WrestleMania. And okay, let's say that Cody Rhodes does finish his story at WrestleMania 40. Will people still care once his story is finished? We're playing the long game, ladies and gentlemen. It's called business, man. Enjoy the ride. Let's continue on here. Don't know if you caught this, but thoughts on Nick Neville showing up at Wrestle Kingdom. I did not watch Wrestle Kingdom, but I did see the clip of him showing up and having that brawl with David Finlay. I thought it looked cool. I'm happy for him. I've always endorsed Dolph Ziggler. I think at times the whole he got buried and wasn't treated properly, I think that's way overblown at times. The guy is multiple time United States and Intercontinental champion and tag team champion. It's not like the guy was a complete scrub the entire time he was there. I get it. He didn't get the world title reign that all of you wanted, but let's not act like he was some jabroni. So I'm happy for him. I saw the little vignette that he put out too earlier today. So I liked what I saw. It was creative. Unlike the other ones from people that get released by WWE where they're being escaped from prison. So fucking corny. Andrade's departure from AEW. Your honest thoughts here. I didn't forget that tweet from October 22nd, 2021. I don't know what that's in reference to, but good for him, man. I say this, whether you're in AEW or in WWE, if you don't want to be somewhere, don't be there. It's pretty simple. And I can speak from experience as somebody who's a independent contractor, man. You are not required to be at some place you do not want to be. And that's not just work related, that's also life related too. And that's the thing with me, like I said at the beginning of the show, like I finally accepted for the fact here that I don't want to live here in Chicago anymore. So it's my time to put in that work and do more research and get the hell out of here. And that's what it is. Next question. Let's see. Too late or second chance, your thoughts around Patrick Clark's apology video. Oh, man. Yeah, this is another controversial one too, man. Look, um, for those who are subscribed to our podcast here on YouTube, know that I have interviewed the Velveteen Dream before. He's been on this channel before. I don't know Patrick Clark personally. I've only had one conversation with him. I enjoyed the conversation I had with him when we did that interview back in 2015. But a lot of time has gone by, and Patrick unfortunately has made a lot of unfortunate decisions that he has to live with. I do believe in second chances. I do believe that you can learn from your mistakes. In Patrick's case, I hope he's taken accountability and can look at himself in the mirror and forgive himself for the decisions that he made. Because it's not cool. One thing I do not tolerate is disrespect towards women. The stuff that he's being the allegations being thrown against him about messing with younger kids and everything in between. I don't have the facts of everything because we don't know what's true and what's not, what's speculation, what's not. So, look, man, there's just certain things for me. It's a big no-no, and those are the type of things, man. And like, I don't know whether it's too late or not, but for me, there has to be a lot of situations and a lot of accountability than just that video. That's all I'm gonna say. I think he sounded genuine. I know when I interviewed him, his intentions were always about just being regimented and doing things the right way and letting his work speak for itself. And that's the way he carried himself in that Tough Enough show. He told me that being raised by his mom and his grandmother and stuff like that really shaped him into the person that he is. So to see him go down that rabbit hole that he did is unfortunate. I hate seeing that because I thought Patrick was a really cool dude. And then to see the success that he had at NXT was nice to see. And then he had the stuff come up, and it's just terrible, man. I was really disappointed seeing a lot of that stuff. So it's like it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people, and it's something for me personally that I just wish for him personally that he's in the right mental space and he's actually putting the work to be a better person more than worrying whether or not he's going to be back on my TV screen or not. So that's the best answer that I could give to that question. All right. Second part to the Rock Roman discussion. Would this match be just as big or bigger than The Rock and Hogan? I think on paper, this match would. I don't think it would be bigger than Rock and Hogan because of the historical significance Hulk Hogan has had to the company and the era in which he was the star. So I can't say that this match would be bigger than Rock and Hogan. I know from a business standpoint and where things are right now, it will definitely be a bigger business than Rock and Hogan. But the moment itself, when it happens, will speak for itself. It was the same thing when The Rock fought John Cena at WrestleMania 28. We'll have to see. I do know from a business point of view, it will be bigger than what Rock and Hogan did in Toronto. But as far as historical significance and what happened in that match, I can't say that right now. I had to see it for myself on screen. They need to interact with each other on TV first before we can even start comparing it to Rock and Hogan or Rock Cena or Rock Austin. Well, we have to see it on TV first. He says here, next question, he says, don't know if it happens this year, but eventually, do you see New Japan having a G1 with their talent for AEW, TNA, and WWE talent all in 1 year? That is going to be a quick no. I don't see it. It'd be cool, but I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. I just do not. But I want to thank you, Chris, for the questions this week. I appreciate you, brother, as always. Now we go to our last set of questions here for the good brother, Mike Rubio, down there in Houston, Texas. Speaking of Houston, I want to give a shout out to my boy, B-Rob. Hope you're doing good, my man. Or as Brother Carter like to say, the man who's lacking B or whatever. I think he has some line about bees and honeys and stuff like that. Oh man, we gotta get Brett Card back on the show soon. But anyways, let's continue on here. Uh, here's what Mike has to say. What up, Oos? Happy Oos year to you and yours. Say to you. I hope that it's been a good start for you so far. Here are some questions to kick off the back porch for 2024. Did I miss something? Was Dragunov legit injured, or is the water substitution part of a risky storyline that involves pulling the main event? I think it's more the latter. It's kind of a similar situation where Roxanne Perez kind of had, like, I don't want to say a seizure or something like that, but I think it's a little bit more storyline, and they're trying to uh, get you more interested in seeing that Carmelo Hayes is guilty than Dragunov being injured. I think that was the part of the angle that they were going for. What do you hope to see for Tiffany Stratton's stable servant? That's a good question. Um, I don't have to see her clean toilets. That's kind of degrading, to be honest with you. I don't need to see that. I like to see how she interacts with the animals at the farm. I think that'd be pretty cool. But as far as like cleaning toilets and stuff like that, I don't have to see that, to be honest with you. But I'm more interested in seeing Tiffany Stratton, the bartender, than the stable servant. I think that's a better proposition. Am I wrong? Speaking of that winner, though, I see some saying AW fumbled the bag with Fallon Henley before. Did they know they had a bag to speak before debut in WWE, though? Did she get a chance to shine there? Well, I can't say that they fumbled the bag. I mean, she was an AW Dark Talent, and really, she was there at the initial stage of the promotion and in the whole pandemic era at Daly's place and stuff like that. And I would say that AW fumbled the bag, but I wish they did give her more opportunities at that time. But I can't say they fumbled the bag. It's just too early in her career to say that that scenario would apply to her, So, like I said earlier, I'm happy for her. I really am, because she's improved a lot and she's having a lot of success. And I think the future's bright for her. And it's good for the recruiting aspect of NXT to see the talent that she had, that they wanted to bring her in. So, that happens sometimes. As life works out in certain situations, you can't control what you can't control, right? So she made the most out of her situation, but this is a scenario where I would say that AW fumbled the bag on her. I would not say that at all. Let's go to the next question here from Mike. He says, what do you think we see first this year? The Rock and Roman Reigns in a match, or the Office having the full reunion / reboot? I'm going to go with the Rock and Roman Reigns. I know you're very interested in this Office reunion thing. I am too. I'm curious to see when they announce it. It'll probably be on Peacock, right? Let's see. Have you heard the rumors about Andrade returning to WWE? And when do you see him debuting the Royal Rumble or earlier? If Andrade doesn't debut tomorrow and cost Santos Escobar the match, then Andrade will be at the Royal Rumble. That's my prediction. That's what I'm going with right now. So that's the one that I'll go with for now. Before the Nick Khan picture earlier on Monday, who do you think the former WWE champion was showing up to Raw? I said Big E. I always thought it was going to be The Rock, to be honest with you. And it wasn't even just because of the picture. Knowing the fact where Raw was at this past Monday, the fact that The Rock was on College Game Day, that gave it away for me that it was going to be him. I had maybe a thought that maybe Batista would come out, but that wasn't the case. I did think it'd be Big E, because he's already, he still has a contract within WWE. It's not like he's a free agent or something like that, So when I looked at the situation, Mike, I always thought it was going to be The Rock, so I'm glad it was him. But I didn't think it was Big E, because he was already within the company, so it would have been that surprising to me. Let's see what other ones he has here. Next question. He says, Do you think CM Punk will regret signing with Raw, especially now that The Rock seems to be upending his WrestleMania hopes yet again, or is he okay with the Raw's World Heavyweight title track? Maybe main WCW bring night one of. I get what you're trying to get at, Mike, but he's where he needs to be right now. There's no need for him to rush into fighting Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. CM Punk is where he needs to be. So no, I would not say that he's regretting that decision. He's at the right place, and him still main eventing night one doesn't shortchange his value. It's still main eventing a WrestleMania, so no. Who'll be the biggest surprise to come out for some Royal Rumble action for the men and women? That's a good question because I really don't know if you need surprises for the Royal Rumble this year. I don't know who that would be, to be honest with you. Is it Stone Cold? Is Stone Cold going to be in the Rumble? Is it? I got no idea. Seriously. Maybe Victoria. I have literally no idea as far as surprises this year. The roster is so good this year that you don't necessarily need some big marquee surprise from these Rumble matches this year. I mean, I would love to see AJ Lee, but I have to see it first to believe it. But that'd probably be my best guess for a surprise. When do you see Seth Rollins losing his championship and to whom? I think Seth Rollins could possibly lose the title at the Royal Rumble and then get it back at Elimination Chamber, but either he'll lose it to Drew McIntyre or Damian Priest will cash in. And if not, the third option will be obviously CM Punk winning the title at WrestleMania. Is it rumored that WWE is working with TNA in some way? Do you buy into that? And if true, does that outdo the so-called Forbidden Door? I have to see it first to believe it. That's another situation there. And he also says, what else would you like to see in a WWE/TNA event? Well, that's the thing. You could make it interesting where, AJ Styles represents TNA. He goes back for a little bit, and then he fights Roman Reigns. That'd be pretty cool. I love to see like Josh Alexander against Seth Rollins. Love to see like Cody Rhodes on the show do some stuff. You got like you got a lot of good tag teams there. You got let's say like you do DIY against the Motor City Machine Guns. The women are very good there. Like you could do Becky against like Jordan Grace or Killer Kelly. Speaking of good waterfall, my God. But there's some good things you can do with WWE and TNA. I don't know if their intention is to outdo the Forbidden Door because, again, like I've said from the beginning, the Forbidden Door concept is fleeting and it's just a circle jerk to make Tony Khan look better. That's what the Forbidden Door is. So we'll have to see. Speaking of alliances, good for Deanna being all elite, but how long until she becomes all Collision and an afterthought in the title picture? Gosh, you know what, Mike? That's a good question. It's a fair one, but I'm gonna say maybe 5 months. Let's be fair. Let's go through Revolution first, and then see where things are going from there. But I do believe that Deanna will probably fight Toni Storm for the women's title at Revolution, and then we'll go from there. Last night there were 8 NBA games with over 140 points scored by one of the teams. Is this like the no defense league now? Yeah, it's been that way for a while now. I'm not really a fan of today's NBA. I was watching the Bulls-Knicks game last night, and I enjoyed it for the most part. Obviously, Zach LaVine's out. There's a lot of injuries going on right now with the Bulls. We didn't have Vucevic there last night either. That definitely really helped because we were getting out-rebounded like crazy last night. But yeah, I was watching the Knicks and the Bulls with my good person last night, and that was a lot of fun. And then what else? I feel like the NBA today is just kind of hit and miss for me. I watched for the Bulls. I know LeBron's always in the conversation, kind of like the Dallas Cowboys, but the Lakers suck. Oh my God, the Clippers are so good in the regular season, and guess what? They'll have injuries, and then they go down the same route that they always do. So I just find the NBA in 2024, Mike, to be honest with you, boring. That's as blunt as I can honestly be. I find the NBA today to be boring. That's my opinion. Um, let's go to the next question. They say the best offense is a good defense, but what do you think about Just Fields offending the road audience in Green Bay, saying that there's not much to do there but watch football? Tell me where he's telling lies. Tell me where he's telling lies. Did Fields' performance in the last game make you more believer in his ability, as some sports columns have suggested? It's not just that game. He's been playing very well since he's come back from injury. The eyeball test has shown me that he's improved a lot. It's not just that game, so we'll have to see. Oh, by the way, we're going to get to another reference to the Cloud of the Week, but we're going to get to that very soon. Let me take a quick swig of water real quick. Also, Chicago Clutch have the first draft pick. So who do you think the team will get as that pick? Blake Corum from Michigan, maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a quarterback? If it was me, I'll go with Marvin Harrison Jr. I love DJ Moore, but we need another receiver as well. So I'm going to go with Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the guy that we need. We just need Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm just going to leave it at that. We don't need a fragile ego and Caleb Williams as our quarterback. He wouldn't handle being in Chicago. Let's go to the next couple questions here. What is Aaron Rodgers thinking going after Jimmy Kimmel about being on the Epstein list? Is he crazy on ayahuasca of CLAHN of the week for that? That was also an honorable mention that I wanted to mention earlier for the CLAHN of the week is this Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Kimmel stuff. Unproductive and wasted energy. That's all I'll say for that. So yes, Mike, he'll definitely qualify for being a CLAHN of the week. That's just ridiculous. I saw that. I was like, what are we doing? Have you been watching the in-season Hard Knocks with the Miami Dolphins? Even if not, should Lee Schreiber narrate pretty much anything non-comedic to guys like Freeman level, in my opinion. I've heard him do some narrations before. He's very good at it. He's very, very talented as an actor and a voice guy as well. But no, I have not been watching Hard Knocks. I'm pretty busy on my own end when I'm not doing transcripts and stuff. So no, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. The Dolphins got beat last week, so with that, is Lamar really going to win MVP and Super Bowl MVP? I can see it happening. I think Lamar will win the MVP, but I don't believe yet the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. They might end up being there at the end. I'm not going to lie to that, but I don't believe that they're winning the Super Bowl yet. But I do think Lamar will probably get another MVP trophy, and good for him. Because I've been critical over him over the last couple of seasons, and I know he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's good to see him getting back to form, and he's playing very well right now. I can't take that away from him. What was your boldest sports or wrestling prediction for 2024? Man. You know what? This may shock some people, actually. I believe we'll see Bryan Danielson back in the WWE by the end of 2024. Yep. I believe Bryan Danielson will be back in WWE in 2024. It's not something that I'm clamoring for, but I can see it happening for sure. What else is there that I should mention really quick? Let's see. Sports-wise, I think Jim Harbaugh will come back to the NFL. How about this? I think Bill Belichick will become a defensive coordinator. I think Bill will finish his career just like he started. I think Bill will be going back to being like a defensive coordinator again. I think that would be my pick for that, to be honest with you. So that's that. Let's see the other questions he has here. Last question for the show. I'm hearing far more references on other shows to the Pat McAfee show now that he has joined ESPN. What? Is this the most prominent sports program out there now? Yes, it is. Pat McAfee is the man. He deserves his flowers, and he's changed the game. He really has. Pat has changed the game for the sports broadcasting field for the better in a lot of ways. And I'm very happy for him and his crew, and they made the most out of the situation and maximizing their opportunities. And he's making a difference. He really is. So the Pat McAfee show right now is definitely more significant than Undisputed or Get Up or shows like that. And I couldn't be happy for him. I couldn't. But on that note, I want to thank Mike and Chris for the questions this week. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter if you like, at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast, Instagram at Josh Lopez Music. Please, if you guys are on Instagram, please report at Josh Lopez Media. My account got hacked last month, and I haven't been able to get it back yet. If you could please report it and say at Josh Lopez Music is trying to get his personal page back, that would mean a lot to me. Also, like I said, please make sure to subscribe here on YouTube, as we're 4 subscribers away from getting 500, and that would help us out a lot. I appreciate the support. Don't forget, folks, we are 30,000 downloads and plays away from reaching episode. Not episode. We are 30,000 downloads away from getting to the 1 million mark. I think we can hit it before WrestleMania. I'm so excited. I'm twisting up my words now. What I'm trying to say is that we are 30,000 away from reaching the 1 million mark. And I think we can hit that mark before episode 400 of the Hoots Podcast. But more importantly, man, I just want to say again, thank you all for hanging out with me today. This is a fun episode. I'm glad that we got to kick off 2024 with a bang. And love to see your responses to what I talked about earlier about this whole finishing the story debate that's been dominating social media over the last couple days. I'd love to see your responses. That's why I put the title of this week's episode, Business Picked Up, because business is booming. And I love you guys. As always, don't forget, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates and pays for your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 394 of the Hoots Podcast. It'll be here ready as the countdown from episode 400 goes from 6 to 5. And we're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fun year. We'll talk to y'all next week. Yeet!